I don't care if it takes every second of our time and every ounce of our energy. We either get this government back on our side or we defund and get rid of, abolish the FBI, CDC, ATF, DOJ, every last one of them, if they do not come to heel. I don't believe that means hearings where we yell at people. I think that means a fundamental reshaping of this government, a reshaping of this town.
Agencies come to heel. You got to bet that threat would likely come up in Gaetz' confirmation hearings, along with allegations and investigations into sexual misconduct, sex trafficking a minor, illicit drug use, accepting improper gifts, and obstruction of justice, all of which Matt Gaetz has denied. Joining us now, Democratic Senator Alex Padilla, who represents California. Senator Padilla serves on the Senate Judiciary Committee, which will conduct Matt Gaetz' public confirmation hearing if it gets to that point. All right, Senator, do you think that Matt Gaetz can be confirmed? I would presume all the Democrats are voting against him. Do you think there are enough Republicans to get him confirmed?
So, well, good to see you again, Katie. Look, this is not just a horrible nomination by President-elect Trump. It's going to be a true test for Senate Republicans. Are they just going to be a rubber stamp for this president for the entirety of his term, or are they going to stand up to their constitutional obligation and for what's right in this country? I can't imagine a worse nominee for Attorney General of the United States than Matt Gaetz. I mean, your prior graphic here laid it out. Those are just allegations that have been public. You know, he was 2 days away from a scathing House ethics report, which we're trying to get as part of our responsible vetting and preparation for the hearing after first of the year. Do
Republican senators want to see that report as well? Any indication?
There is some indication. A couple of Republican senators, including Senator Cornyn, who is on the Judiciary Committee, suggesting that that House ethics report, even though it wasn't released because of Gaetz's pretty quick resignation just prior to the release, that should make its way to the Judiciary Committee. Hey, both sides of the aisle. It's not just Democrats who are interested in seeing what's in that report, but Republicans ought to be interested in seeing what's in that report if we're going to have a genuine process. Again, this is just an indicator of what's to come in a Trump presidency. Then the fight has already begun.
Republicans like Lindsey Graham have argued that Donald Trump got a mandate from the public to do what he wanted, to assemble the government that he chooses. He won the popular vote. He won the Electoral College, all the swing states. What's the Democratic response?
Look, I think the Trump victory is far from a mandate. You may win an election, but you don't prevail over the rule of law. It does not give you the moral high ground when you do something wrong or despicable, whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's Matt Gaetz, or whether it's anybody else. And Katie, you know my background's in engineering and I like math. President Biden won the popular vote by more than 7 million votes in 2020. And I didn't hear Republicans saying, okay, let's give Biden everything he wants because he has a mandate. As it sounds today, the Trump's lead nationally is half of what it was for Biden, and it's shrinking by the day as more votes are being cast. So, no, Trump does not have a mandate, and he certainly doesn't have the moral high ground.
What about the argument from some Republicans that Senator, or soon-to-be Majority Leader John Thune, should call recess and allow Donald Trump to make recess appointments?
Yeah, well, I think that's an idea out of Trump world that's unprecedented. Nobody's completely sure about the legality or constitutionality of that. But again, it's going to be a big test for a Republican leader to be Thune and the Republican Senate as a whole. Are they just going to sit by and rubber stamp everything Donald Trump tells them to? Or are they going to live up to their constitutional responsibilities and the responsibilities they assumed when they took the oath of office? That remains to be seen.